Welcome to Dogs on Demand on Facebook and Instagram. I'm Chris Hall, your host. It's good to have you with us tonight. We do a little dog talk on a Thursday night. We're going to review tonight the Georgia game against Oregon. Georgia winning that game, of course, 49-3 in thrilling fashion. If you're a Bulldog fan, just a great game for the University of Georgia. Great opening game for our Bulldogs. And so we'll be reviewing that a little bit. And then we're going to take some time to talk a little bit about Samford coming up. And we'll be talking a little bit about the game coming up. The opening game, first home game in Sanford Stadium since the Bulldogs won the national championship. That, of course, coming up this coming Saturday. Good to have you with us. The Crescent City is a beautiful place to be. And the stadium behind us, all is quiet now, but it will not be the case this coming Saturday, as it'll be Saturday in Athens. And, of course, this place will be rocking when Saturday comes along. Now, you anticipate that the Bulldogs will easily handle the Samford Bulldogs. They're the Bulldogs as well. But, you can't overlook anybody. And, in fact, Samford gave Florida fits last year before Florida finally overtook them and went on to a big victory. But, all reason tells you that the Bulldogs should be able to handle Samford. We'll talk about that game coming up. And we hope you're having a good week. It's always a good week when the Bulldogs win, especially when you win that opening game and do it in convincing fashion, as the Bulldogs did this past Saturday. It's been a good week, and Coach Smart is right on the guys. He's not letting them rest on their laurels one iota. And in fact, this team, the way it's constructed, the personalities of this team, they learned a lot from last year's leaders, the leaders of this current Georgia team. They're not letting anyone slack, and they are leading by example. And so that's good to see. But we're ready to go. And here tonight, Southeast Mortgage, the official home loan lender of the Georgia Bulldogs, is our sponsor. We appreciate those guys. When you get ready to finance or refinance your home, be sure to check out Southeast Mortgage. That's Southeast Mortgage /bulldogs.com. And the good folks at Southeast Mortgage, we love those guys. They're so supportive of what we do here on Dogs on Demand. And they'll do everything they can to make sure that you have a very pleasant and streamlined opportunity as you look to finance or refinance your home. So be sure to check them out. Southeast Mortgage, the official home loan lender of the Georgia Bulldogs. Well, let's talk a little bit. And by the way, Miss Jean has checked in with us. Miss Jean, it's good to have you with us. If you want to chirp in here and have a comment or a question tonight about the University of Georgia, or anything anything that you want to talk about, you can zip us a line here and we'll be happy to talk with you tonight. So let's take a look at Georgia's win over Oregon. Georgia winning, of course, 49-3 at Mercedes-Benz Stadium in Atlanta. It was part of the Chick-fil-A kickoff kind of thing. LSU and FSU closed out the Chick-fil-A kickoff weekend, I guess you could say, of college football on Monday. But Georgia just right out of the gate having a tremendous game against Oregon. Georgia came in the number 3 ranked team in the country. Oregon came in the number 11th ranked team in the country. Georgia was a 17-point favorite or something like that. Brian is also here. Good deal. Hey, Brian, how you doing? Georgia came in 17-point favorite, but Georgia scored a touchdown on its first 7 possessions. And, of course, it was long over, as the game progressed. Just a tremendous game for the Bulldogs. Let's look at quickly some statistics. Stetson Bennett had a tremendous game. We'll talk a little bit about Stetson coming up here in just a moment. A little bit more about Stetson. Stetson Bennett had a tremendous game for the Bulldogs. He was 25 of 31 in passing, 368 yards and 2 touchdowns. And Georgia ran the ball on 25 attempts for 132 yards. Kenny McIntosh led the team with 135 all-purpose yards, 117 receiving, 18 rushing. And McIntosh also had a touchdown. Redshirt sophomore receiver Ladd McConkey had 89 yards, 73 receiving, 16 rushing, and Ladd had a couple of touchdowns. Junior tailback Kendall Milton led the Bulldogs with 50 yards rushing and 2 touchdowns, 1 rushing and 1 receiving. The Georgia defense stood tall. It stood tall, holding Oregon out of the end zone, allowing 313 total yards of offense. The Bulldogs were especially impressive on third down. The Ducks only converting 7 out of 15 third down attempts in the game. True freshman defensive tackle Malachi Starks led the team with 8 tackles and an interception, and that interception was truly magnificent. And I'm sure you've seen many replays of that. Senior defensive back Christopher Smith and junior defensive back Dan Jackson each had 5 tackles apiece. So Georgia just a complete victory over Oregon. And just, there's not much else to say. It was a little surprising how, Georgia was able to easily handle the Ducks. I had predicted a score of 35-7. And I thought Georgia would be able to take care of Oregon, but it turned out that it was a lot easier than what we anticipated, and of course it wasn't easy. You're playing a college football game, but Georgia just Georgia had its way right from the get-go, immediately right out of the gates. The Bulldogs were ready to play, and it seems like they were hungry. And it was just a great game. It was a complete game victory for the University of Georgia. So Georgia winning over Oregon as we get the 2022 season underway. Georgia winning 49-3. And that game, of course, at Mercedes-Benz Stadium in Atlanta. Now, in the stadium behind us here, this coming Saturday, and Josh Brooks still in his office, and he'll be cutting off the lights soon. I guess. Josh Brooks, the athletic director for the University of Georgia. But this coming Saturday, this place is going to be rocking and rolling as Georgia comes in. So now let's talk a little bit about the game coming up on Saturday. It's the Georgia Bulldogs against the Samford Bulldogs. It's on Saturday in Athens. Kickoff for the game is 4 o'clock. Location, of course, Sanford Stadium in Athens. And you can, the game will be on the SEC network. Taylor Zazor and Matt Stinchcomb will be handling the booth for the SEC network. Of course, Scott Howard, Eric Zier, DJ Shockley will have the play-by-play and the call of the game on the Georgia Bulldog Sports Network. But some of the sources are, not even giving a line for this game. They say, Georgia's going to win. We can't tell you how much. One line I saw today is Georgia is a 52-point favorite over Samford, and that's according to VegasInsider.com. These two teams have played just once previously. Georgia won 42-14 back in 2017. Nick Chubb was on the roster, of course, for Georgia for that game. He rushed for 131 yards and 2 touchdowns in the win. Now, there is a connection between the University of Georgia and Samford University. Some interesting connections between these two programs. Not just the fact that they share the same, name, the Bulldogs, but Chris Hatcher is the coach for Samford. And it was Chris Hatcher who actually gave Kirby Smart his first coaching job. Back in the year 2000, Kirby Smart, I think, was 26 years of age. And Chris Hatcher, he was the head coach at Valdosta State in Georgia. And Chris Hatcher hired Kirby Smart to be on his staff at Valdosta State. Also, interestingly enough, also on the staff at Valdosta State was Will Muschamp. He was the defensive coordinator on the Valdosta State staff. Coach Smart was the defensive backfield coach. Samford is a Christian university. It's located in Homeland, Alabama. That's outside of Birmingham. And also, interestingly enough, Samford, the university, is the college, the university where both of Kirby Smart's parents graduated. In fact, Sonny Smart, Kirby Smart's father, played center for the school from 1968 to 1970. He started starting for 2 seasons on the offensive line. And Sonny met his wife, Kirby's mother, Sharon, at Samford University. So there you go. Sonny, Coach Smart's father, went on to coach at Bainbridge and Rabun County in the state of Georgia. So there's some interesting connections between the University of Georgia and Samford University. Samford won last week. They beat Kennesaw State. And Samford, as a result of that win, moved into the top 25 in the FCS. That's the classification, I guess you could say, college classification. That's a little lower than the major colleges. So Samford started the season off with a big win over Kennesaw State. They're ranked number 25 in the top 25 of the FCS. So you have Samford coming to town, to Sanford Stadium. Samford's coming to Sanford Stadium this coming Saturday. Should be an interesting ball game. Again, the line that I have seen, and about the only line that has been put out there, is Georgia is a 52-point favorite. But, I can guarantee you this. Coach Smart is having none of that this week. He doesn't want to hear anything about that. In fact, he said that on the Tuesday practice, Coach Smart said the Tuesday practice for the University of Georgia was terrible. He said no energy. They just, the guys were not doing what they needed to be doing. It was not a good practice. He was really hard on the guys this week. So, coach is going to have nothing to do with anybody, taking this game for granted. Casey's stepping in. You think our secondary will have a big day Saturday, considering they like to throw the ball. I'd like to see Malik Starks get more picks. I think Samford will come in, and I think Samford will come in and throw the ball. They have the hatch attack, I think they call it, out of Samford. And so, the defensive secondary for the University of Georgia will be tested by Samford. I just, you have to anticipate that Georgia has just too much to handle for Samford, but we shall see. Wendell Sloan, greetings from beautiful downtown Rabbit Town, Georgia. Well, how about that? Where is Rabbit Town, Georgia? I don't know where that is. You know? Okay, we don't know where Rabbit Town is, but it's good to have Wendell join, I guess. So there you go. So you got Georgia and Samford coming up. Again, it'll be at 4 o'clock. It'll be on the SEC network. 4 o'clock start. Oh yeah, Macon, Georgia. Absolutely. We knew, you knew that, didn't you? Yeah. Charles says, right. Yeah, Macon, Georgia. Okay. Good deal. All right. Well, let's take a look at the top 25 now. Going into week 1, Georgia was the number 3 ranked team in the country, almost across the board by any of the rankings. North of Gainesville. Oh, that's where. Yeah. Oh, gotcha. North of Gainesville is where Rabbit Town is. Okay. Oh, cool. That's good. And north of Gainesville, Georgia. Very good. All right. So anyway, Georgia was the number 3 ranked team coming into the week number 1, almost through all of the sources, all of the ranking sources. But at the end of week number 1, after all was said and done, Georgia has moved up in the rankings to number 2, according to the AP. The AP coaches poll came out, and Alabama is still number 1. On the strength of their, win over Utah State. Georgia comes in at number 2 now, ahead of Ohio State. Ohio State winning over Notre Dame. But in spite of that, Ohio State beating Notre Dame, Georgia leaps over them, and Georgia now is the number 2 ranked team in the country, according to the coaches poll. Then Clemson, which had a win over Georgia Tech, Michigan, Texas A&M, Oklahoma, Baylor, Notre Dame, Oklahoma State, Michigan State, USC, NC State, and on down the line. And Florida, which was not in the coaches poll, it came into the coaches poll big time after their win over Utah. They're at number 19 now. The Gators at number 19, Arkansas at number 17, Kentucky at number 20, Ole Miss number 22, Texas 23, BYU 25. Oregon fell all the way down from number 11 to 24 in the coaches poll for the top 25. So Georgia now the number 2 ranked team in the country. But boy, I tell you, based on how Georgia performed in that game on Saturday against Oregon, I don't know. They looked awful good to me as the number 1 team in the country, but we shall see. Just another kind of little recap on the game against Oregon. The Georgia scored on its first 7 possessions. Georgia finished with 571 total yards. And amazingly, Georgia converted on 9 of 10 third downs. 9 of 10 third downs. That's pretty near good. Stetson Bennett had a great game. Obviously, we've already talked about that. In fact, I saw this stat, and it's kind of compelling. By the way, Stetson Bennett went into the game on Saturday as plus 6,000 in the odds of winning the Heisman Trophy. In other words, his odds are not very good. After his performance on Saturday, his odds now are plus 2,000, which makes him, we'll talk about that in a minute. Where is he at on the list? He's now on up there on the list for Heisman consideration. So go get him, Stetson Bennett. Look, I saw this. Stetson Bennett in his last 3 games. Stetson Bennett, his last 3 games versus number 2 Michigan, number 1 Alabama, and number 11 Oregon. Listen to these stats for Stetson Bennett. He played against the number 2 team in the country, the number 1 team in the country, and the number 11 team in the country. Listen to his stats. He in those 3 games, Stetson Bennett completed 62 of 87 passes for 905 yards. That's a 71% completion average. And his passes going for 10.4 yards per attempt. He's thrown for 8 touchdowns, no interceptions. He has a 185.2 efficiency rating, quarterback rating, and he has 0 turnover-worthy plays, whatever that is, turnover-worthy plays versus Oregon. And so I don't know what that is, but I guess it's, almost turning it over, right? So anyway, Stetson Bennett in his last 3 games, just tremendous. And he should be in the Heisman Trophy conversation. In fact, updated Heisman Trophy odds were put out today. Now, let me give you this little caveat. Stetson Bennett doesn't care about the Heisman Trophy. He's not concentrating on that now. He's not really concentrating on anybody giving him any kind of accolades. The dude is just a cool dude. He's just a cool dude. But here's the updated Heisman Trophy odds for 2022 after week 1. Bryce Young still is the favorite, followed by C.J. Stroud from Ohio State, Caleb Williams from Southern California, Will Anderson from Alabama, Anthony Richardson from Florida, and then Stetson Bennett from Georgia. Now he's plus 2,200. Now, I don't really understand what that means, but that just means, that's kind of like his odds for winning the Heisman Trophy. So Stetson has moved up profoundly from plus 6,000 to plus 2,200, followed by Dylan Gabriel, Trayvon Henderson from Ohio State. DJ Uiagalelei is on the list at plus 3,000. So anyway, Heisman Trophy odds for Stetson Bennett took a big hike after his week 1 performance. Stetson is the GOAT. Love the kid. And Barry Watkins, yeah, I know Barry. He was at plus 6,000. Now he's at 2,200. So there you go. Stetson has made a leap in the odds to win the Heisman Trophy. He's just a cool dude. We love Stetson. Go get him, my man. Okay, so we have some games coming up, obviously, week 2 coming up. You want to review the Let's review the SEC scores from last week quickly. Vanderbilt, my second favorite team in all of the SEC. I don't want to hear anybody else talking about Vanderbilt doesn't need to be playing football in the SEC. Look at what my Commodores did. Okay. They beat Hawaii 63-10. When was this? August. Oh, that was week 0, right? Yeah, that was week 0. Well, what did they do on oh yeah, they beat Elon College. I got you. They beat Elon College. There you go. So that was Saturday, August 27th. Yeah, let's get to this past weekend. Texas A&M. By the way, Vanderbilt beat Elon College. Now that's quite an accomplishment. Where is Elon College? You don't know? Okay, I don't either. Is that in Tennessee? Elon College? I don't know. So this past Saturday in week 1, Texas A&M beat Sam Houston 31-0. They had like an hour and a half lightning delay in that game. Arkansas beat Cincinnati 31-24. Good win for the Razorbacks. Georgia, of course, beating Oregon 49-3. Ole Miss beat Troy 28-10. Auburn beat Mercer 42-16. Barry wants to know what our feelings is. Let's see what we got here. What our feeling on Texas putting the $1 million ban in the nosebleed section. Now the ban isn't coming. Yeah, well, I tell you, that has been a problem, not just for this game. There was a big, I don't know, a brouhaha, big discussion, I think, in a game last year where a band, there was tremendous complaints. They assign certain seats to the opposing team, and the band has to sit in those seats, and apparently it's somewhere in the nosebleed section of that stadium. And so, the University of Alabama says, no, we're not going to bring our band, which is a shame. Those kids deserve the trip. But they say, we're not going to put up with it. We're being disrespected. And that's probably true. Texas should make some accommodations. If you get that many complaints, if that was a complaint coming to the University of Georgia, knowing Josh Brooks as I know Josh Brooks, he would do everything he can to accommodate the feelings of the opposing team, and I think Josh Brooks would take care of that. To be honest with you, not to cast aspersions too much on the good folks at the University of Texas, but they're a little snooty, to be honest with you, just a little snooty, and you know what that means? They're a little stuck up. But anyway. And we'll talk about our prediction for that game coming up. Gene says the only way Stetson wins the Heisman Trophy is for Georgia to win the national championship again, which is probably true. That's probably true. Let's see. Florida beat Utah 29-26 down in the swamp. Kentucky beat Miami of Ohio 37-13. Vanderbilt beat Elon 42-31. So it was a little closer. Yeah, Barry says they're a lot snooty. Yeah. Now, I lived in Texas for a while, and they were good folks. The folks in Texas are good folks, but the University of Texas, they have a high opinion of themselves. Alabama beat Utah State 55-0. Mississippi State beat Memphis 49-23. So that was the results from the SEC last week. By the way, the SEC and LSU, FSU beat LSU, right? Yeah. And that game, I watched that game. What a crazy game. What a crazy game. And LSU, of course, tying the game with no time left. And then they get the extra point kick blocked. And so FSU is 2-0, and LSU, starts the season off with a loss. So I think the SEC was 13-1 on week 1, and just really outplayed their competition tremendously. So you go SEC. Now here's some notable games. We get into the SEC. Excuse me. Do you have to do that to lick your finger to get some traction on piece of paper? It's not really couth So, I'll make a note to myself not to do that again. Outside the conference are some notable games coming up this weekend. Um, Friday, Louisville will take on the University of Central Florida. That'll be at 7:30 p.m. on ESPN2. Saturday at noon, the big game for Alabama Crimson Tide at Texas. And so that'll be at 12 p.m. on Fox. Saturday afternoon, Samford at number 2, Georgia, 4 p.m. SEC Network. And here's an interesting game, and we'll talk about this. We just mentioned it now. Talk about this. Number 20 Kentucky number 24 Tennessee goes to take on number 16 Pittsburgh, the University of Pittsburgh Panthers. Now that's going to be an interesting game. That will tell the tale in a lot of ways for the University of Tennessee. Are they back? Is the University of Tennessee, are the Volunteers back? And so, we'll see. We'll find out. 3:30 p.m. on ABC this coming Saturday. Tennessee at Pittsburgh. Then you have Kentucky at Florida. Now, that's going to be an interesting game. That's going to tell a lot about both of those programs. Kentucky, number 20, taking on number 12, Florida, 7 p.m. on ESPN. Now, that's going to be an interesting game. So, that'll be a must-see TV. And then Saturday, a late game, kind of an interesting game outside of the conference. Number 9, Baylor, taking on number 21, BYU. That'll be at 10:15 p.m. on ESPN. So let's get some comments in here. Barry Watkins, I think Texas might beat Alabama. I don't know. I think it'll be a close game for a half. I just got a sneaking suspicion. Alabama is good. Now, you got to give it to Alabama. Alabama's good. So we'll see. Lewis checks in. Lewis, my man, how you doing? Lewis is a very good friend of mine. Lewis and I have gotten into trouble more times than I could count on my finger. But Lewis, we truly love Lewis. I'm surprised. I'm surprised LSU lost to FSU. To be honest with you, I am too. I'm surprised too. I don't get the feel. I watched that game. Obviously, I watched the game, and it was on Monday night or Sunday night. Yeah, it was on Sunday night. I watched that game. And the thing that kept coming to my mind is neither one of these teams could stay on the field with the University of Georgia. That's what I was thinking. But I was surprised that FSU went into the Dome and beat LSU. I was surprised. Lewis wants to know, do you think the Dogs will beat Bama? Well, it's a little young in the season to be talking about that. But Lewis, just between me and you, and if you won't share this with anybody else, I appreciate it. Yes, I think Georgia's going to beat Alabama, but just don't tell anybody else. That's what I said. Frank, how was practice for the Dogs today after Kirby smacked them on Tuesday? The practice was good today. It picked up a lot of tempo. On Thursdays, they begin to kind of tamp it down a little bit, refine the game plan. Kirby's smart. He's just relentless. I mean, he's like Nick Saban in a lot of ways. And I think one of the things that he's learned is that actually after a victory, Nick Saban and Kirby Smart are harder on their teams after they win than after a loss, because they will not by any means let them get complacent or get the big head or anything like that. So Kirby was generally upset on Tuesday. He just said it was an awful practice. Hadn't heard much, his comments about practice for the rest of the week. But they had from what I understand, and of course media is not able to get in there, for the entire thing. But from what I understand, they had a good practice today, and so they're fine tuning that game plan and getting themselves together. And listen, when Georgia's planning, getting ready for Oregon and going through whatever they go through to get ready for Oregon, they do the exact same thing for Samford. And they're not, they don't say, well, Samford's, an FCS team and we should beat them and we're 52-point favorites. No, they go through the same process. So, all right, let's take a look at the SEC games for this coming weekend. The big one, and this is on Fox Network, Alabama at Texas, 12 noon. Alabama, Texas, 12 noon. Down in Austin. So, Texas had a big win, and by the way, the Ewers guy, who's the quarterback for Texas, his car got towed during the game. I mean, seriously, he led the Longhorns to victory, and he comes out after the game and, after meeting with the media and getting dressed and everything, and his car has been towed. So anyway, so you got Alabama and Texas, and I'm going to go with with Alabama. I think it'll be close for a half just because of the atmosphere. But Alabama's tough now. Alabama's tough. And Texas untested. I don't think Texas is quite there yet in being able to stay with a team like Alabama. And so I'm going to go with Alabama. And I'm at what? What do you think? 34-21. 34-21. That sounds good. Then it also at 12 noon on ESPN, an interesting game. South Carolina travels to Arkansas. Now, Arkansas had a big win over Cincinnati. South Carolina won over Georgia State. South Carolina struggled a little bit against Georgia State. In fact, they had 2 blocked punts, which really helped them to secure their victory over Georgia State. So South Carolina traveling to Arkansas, and I think Arkansas will take care of business there. And we'll go with 21 did I say that? No, 28-14. Wake Forest, this is also 12 noon. Wake Forest travels to Vanderbilt. Wake Forest gets their quarterback back, who's highly touted. I forgot his name. I didn't write it down either, but he's highly touted. Wake Forest, the number 23 ranked team in the country, taking on the Commodores. That'll be on the SEC network. I'm going with Vanderbilt. See, here's what I think. Vanderbilt is going to win that game. Then they're going to win the game next week. And when they play Alabama, they'll be 4-0. You'll have a 4-0 Vanderbilt team against Alabama. Won't matter much, but 12 noon also, Missouri at Kansas State. That'll be on ESPN2. I'll just go with Missouri. But then 3:30, Appalachian State versus Texas A&M on ESPN2. That'll be in College Station. Texas A&M should win that game. Then you have the interesting game, Tennessee at Pitt. That'll be on ABC at 3:30. Interesting game. That'll tell a whole lot about that Josh Heupel team at the University of Tennessee. Pittsburgh is favored in that game. I think maybe Tennessee might go in there and win that game. We'll see. Then at 4 o'clock, Samford and Georgia. That'll be on the SEC network. And, of course, Georgia obviously will pick them to win. 7 p.m., Kentucky at Florida on ESPN. Now, that's going to be an interesting game. Kentucky coming in there. Florida sky high after their big win over Utah, upset win over Utah. I got a sneaking suspicion that Florida's going to win that game. And, in Kentucky, of course, that's an SEC loss. If whoever loses this game, that's an SEC loss. Hey, Mikey, what's going on? Sand Mountain, Alabama. There you go. I think I've been to Sand Mountain. So it's good to have you with us tonight. We're just talking a little bit. By the way, our program presented by Southeast Mortgage. So, yeah, I got me a nice shirt. Got me a hat here somewhere with the Southeast Mortgage logo on it. Listen, Southeast Mortgage, if you're getting ready to purchase a home or if you want to refinance your home and you're looking for somebody to help you go navigate through all of that without getting stressed out to the max, and somebody who will really treat you kindly like family, they're going to do everything they possibly can do to help you go through that process and get the best possible deal you can get. I want to tell you, the people at Southeast Mortgage, that's who you need to get in contact with. They are the official home loan lender of the Georgia Bulldogs. And so even if you live in near Fort Payne, Alabama, you can call Southeast Mortgage and they will go above and beyond to help you in that very important decision. So be sure to check out the good folks at Southeast Mortgage. We love those folks. I got some props. I should have brought one in, but anyway, we love those folks. All right. But 7:00 on Saturday, Central Arkansas against Ole Miss. That'll be on the SEC network and ESPN Plus, and obviously Ole Miss should win that game. Then on 7:30 p.m. On Saturday night, you have Southern University taking on LSU, and LSU should win that game. And then at 11 p.m. on Saturday night, on Fox Sports 1, you have Mississippi State taking on Arizona. Mississippi State traveling out west to take on Arizona. By the way, Mississippi State has the toughest, I think they said the toughest schedule in the SEC, one of the toughest in the country. So they'll be traveling to Arizona. So there you go. So that's the SEC schedule for this week. Lewis wants to know, do you think Missouri is going to beat Kansas State? Yes. Yeah, I do. I really do. I think Missouri will take care of business. All right, a couple of other things. Bulldog senior quarterback Stetson Bennett was named the Walter Camp National FBS Offensive Player of the Week on Saturday. So it's interesting that Stetson Bennett was named the Offensive Player of the Week for the nation by the Walter Camp National Walter Camp people, but he was not named the SEC Player of the Week. The SEC Player of the Week, according to the SEC. Yeah, the SEC. They said Anthony Richardson, the quarterback for Florida, was the SEC Offensive Player of the Week, just the Player of the Week. Now, Richardson, in his game, Florida versus Oregon, had 274 yards, 3 touchdowns, a 129.6 quarterback rating. That's pretty good. But listen to Stetson Bennett's stats. Stetson Bennett had 376 total yards, 3 touchdowns, a 201.7 quarterback rating. And so the SEC decided we'll give it to Anthony Richardson. Seriously. I mean, really. By the way, oh boy. The NIL deal, things where the players can make money on their name, image, or likeness. It's a thing now. It's interesting. Georgia quarterback Stetson Bennett, he's almost near $1 million worth, $1 million in NIL deals, according to reports. He currently has an evaluation, or valuation, they call it, NIL valuation, of $937,000. In other words, he's going to take in $937,000 by, giving his name, image, or likeness to stuff, to promote things. And so Stetson Bennett has that. He just signed partnerships with the Synovus Bank. I bank with those folks. They're good folks. Synovus Bank. And he also signed a partnership with AARP. I mean, I don't know why that's funny. Why is that funny? Why should that be funny? Stetson Bennett signed a partnership with AARP, the American Association of Retired People. They wanted Stetson Bennett on their team. That means he's on my team because I'm a member of AARP. So there you go. You go. Another reason why I love Stetson Bennett. He signed with my guys. I don't know why why is that funny? I don't know why that's funny. Anyway, we close out our program tonight. Thank you guys for being with us. They just, college football is fun. They call it a game. Now the guys work at it, but it's a game and we have fun with it. One more thing quickly. You might have heard about this. The college football playoff has now officially confirmed reports that they are going to expand, I'll get it out in a minute, to 12 teams. Instead of 4 teams making the college football playoffs, there's going to soon be 12 teams, a 12-team format. The changes are expected to start in 2026, but there is a chance that they could be implemented much earlier. So quickly, here's how it will work. 12 teams, highest ranked 6 conference champions selected by the committee, 6 at-large berths. Those will be the teams that make it, and then they have this way of, the champions get the first round buys, and then some of the other teams, first games will be at home sites, and yada yada yada. But anyway, there you go. That's a 12-team playoff, which should mean that Georgia will be in it every year. Well, thank you, Jan. I appreciate that for all the work we put in. And when you enjoy what you're doing, is it really work? And we love what we do. So anyway, you have a 12-team playoff coming up. And that's cool. But honestly, I would have preferred 8 teams. Georgia played the number 12 ranked team in the country. Okay. On Saturday, the number 11th ranked team in the country. I'm sorry, on Saturday, and Georgia beat them 49-3, and that was on a neutral site. So 12 teams seems a little much, but it's all about the green. Talking about the Green New Deal, that's the Green New Deal in college football, and we're talking about a different kind of green, if you know what I mean. All right. Well, thank you for being with us tonight. Beautiful Samford Stadium behind us at the University of Georgia. If you ever make it to the Crescent City, we got a Ferguson checking in with us. This from your Roll Tide fan. How many cupcakes does Georgia play this year? I don't know. They're all tough. Man, Samford's from Alabama. What are you talking about? That Samford's not a cupcake. Right? I tell you what, you can't take anything for granted in college football. I'm just sorry. You can't. But anyway, we appreciate our Roll Tide buddy. Yeah, we get in trouble too a lot. All right. Well, thank you for being with us tonight, guys. Southeast Mortgage, the official home loan lender of the Georgia Bulldogs. Thanks you as well for joining us tonight for a little Dawg Talk. We have a lot of fun. Hey, share the good news with others. Invite them to join in with us on Dogs on Demand. We're on Facebook and Instagram. We're on YouTube. I think we're on Twitter too, aren't we? We're everywhere. You can't get away from us. So anyway, we'll give you a report this coming Saturday from the Samford game, and it'll be from Samford, from Sanford Stadium. We'll give you a report on that. One more little jab from Mr. Ferguson. Bryant Denny Stadium is a great stadium too, and it is. It really is one of the great venues in college football. It is Bryant Denny Stadium, but it can't match Sanford Stadium. Sorry. All right, guys, have a good night. God bless you, and we hope you have a good night. We'll talk to you again soon about the University of Georgia. Until then, go Dogs.